lunch. I think most of my sessions are always post-lunch, but every time we used to do the activity-based. Today it's not activity, so I will have a hard time to keep you guys awake. But I've been learning some cool technique from Anand and other guys, so let's see how we can make that possible. And of course there is a video also. I think video can give you some life some time. Okay, so let's get started. Has any of you heard me speaking on the product discovery here in the past previous sessions? One or two times I've tried to link this somewhere else in some other topic. But today the entire focus would be on product discovery. So before we jump in, I just want to know how many of you are aware of this term product discovery. Have you heard about it at least, product discovery? As a buzzword at least, yeah, quite a few. How many of you are actually doing some discovery as a part of your agile team or your non-agile team? Any of you doing it? Okay. Okay, so let's hear from the people who are aware of this. Any ideas on what product discovery could be? Any thoughts on it? Just so that all of us can go to the same page and then we take on. Any thoughts?
It's a journey. You start with something like a small tips.
Okay.
To really understand the core problem and find a solution to
Sure.
the problem.
Okay. So one thing you highlighted is a journey. Definitely any discovery is a journey. And then you say start with something small and then
Start with some, it's not like a known problem. You
Yeah.
have some symptoms.
okay.
Start with symptoms.
Yeah.
And then over a period of time you really understand what the problem and then solve the problem.
Sure. Okay. That's a nice way of
Try to develop your customer, the end user. Try to figure out your issues.
Okay.
And try to find out what it is that will really address them.
Okay.
More customer's problem.
Okay.
And build something accordingly.
Okay. So in other words, the message you are trying to say is before you jump into developing some solution, first understand your customers. Put yourself in their shoes and probably experience. Okay, that's another nice thought.
Brainstorming as well. Saying that whether this could work, or we might have not sure, may not work. So
Sure.
it's like more of a mutual discussion to
Sure.
arrive at a common solution.
Cool. Okay. So it involves interactions and close interactions. Okay. So yeah, yes please.
I will think about like coding questions.
Uh-huh.
I will think about this common concept
Right.
and try to find a solution. Because I will give you a solution.
Sure. Yeah.
All the new products or new user experience
Okay.
that will create a new problem, like a design thinking.
Sure.
That will make you to become better products.
So are you trying to indicate that product discovery is only done for new products?
No, initial product
Okay.
enhancement of the existing product.
Okay.
New user experience.
Okay. Sure.
Maybe evaluate design.
Yeah.
Bringing the vision and roadmap.
Sure. Okay. Cool. I think I've got a very good set of answers because I'm going to relate all these things. Some of you spoke about discovery when you are in a new product scenario. Some of you spoke about enhancements or maybe even technically there could be some discovery, right? The design emerges, etc. Okay. So another point I want to again just make all of us aware is that have you been observing the startup world in the last few years? Right? Let's say last 5 years. Do you see any trends in the startup companies that start, all of a sudden next week there is a new startup? But what is the trend with respect to these startups which have started in the last, let's say 6 to 8 years? There is a very good trend. Die quickly. Either die quickly because of failure or they'll make some money, okay, they'll come up with some cool idea, sell it to someone and then open another product. So serial entrepreneurship. Right? Some people are into serial entrepreneurship, but a lot of them are actually failures, startup ideas, and they won't go beyond 2 years. Okay? And there is a precise reason why that is happening in the startup world, and that is deeply related to the product discovery. And the same thing can happen when you are a startup mode organization, sub-organization within a large company. So some of the large companies exist from 100 plus years, 150 years, 170 years, right? but there are a lot of startup initiatives even in those companies. And there also we have seen a lot of failure. And the whole buzzword got the traction because of failure of many agile initiatives. And that's when people started, okay, we are using the best practices in agile development, Scrum, and it talks about iterative learning, etc. But how come we are failing as a business? Right? When people started thinking about it, they started realizing some of the mistakes, and they also felt that we have ignored one of the important areas in the overall business, I would say, business scope. Okay, so we'll get there. Just wanted to give you a little bit of context there. But now we'll just watch a video and you'll get your understanding on product discovery much more deeper by watching that video, and I would like to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, so can we play this?
Tonight, the deep dive. One company's secret weapon.
I paused it to check whether volume is good or bad.
For innovation. We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy, and the first computer mouse for Apple, Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens, hundreds of products we take for granted.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. We're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side gives a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. What do I get? The desk, red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic card is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, what, 2 hours? And it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
Everybody cool?
well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, you know when so if it doesn't miss, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
4 or 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams, and we give each team a need area. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
If you don't work under time constraints, you can never get anything done because it's a messy process to go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety. And another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find the yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the cards come up here for a second?
I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there. But there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
Good. There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
She also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline in Palo Alto, California.
Okay, so I'm sure you would have had a lot of things to observe, right? Different things. So first of all, is this organization Azure? Are they being Azure? They are being Azure, but they are doing their product development work very differently. And there are many things to actually observe and comment on. So, and just throw, what did you observe something different? Could be same also you would have seen, but I want to hear your thoughts. Along chaos to happen. Okay.
Prototype and then they were.
Rapid prototype, they did something very quickly. The total duration itself was 5 days for the experiment.
It would eventually the customer would watch and
Yeah, they actually spoke to the real customers to both understand as well as even validate whether it was useful.
start with they went to the shop to identify the problem.
Yeah, they defined the problem.
Find the problem.
Yeah.
Ideation.
Ideation? Okay.
Keeps the group
Ah.
together.
So who was doing that job? Was there any one person doing that?
One person.
No. So the boss was like any other regular team member, right? And there were lots of working agreements, like the bell that you saw. Anyone starts criticizing an idea, you get a bell. Allow for any ideas. What else? Different skill sets. There was linguist. There was some person who was psychologist. Yeah. Yeah.
Spend much time on planning and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They were into action. They were doing a little bit of planning, but then they were quick. They were not long marathon planning meetings.
Take one idea at a time.
Yeah. So though there are many things, let's focus on those. Are all working agreement, right? One conversation at a time. Stay focused on one small thing and iterate and move to the next, right? But what is really important to note in all these things, which is related to product discovery, is there was a mixture of people from all disciplines. Someone from user experience, someone from actually building it, and someone from the budgeting, maybe the business decisions, etc. Right? Because the boss would have also represented as a stakeholder. So that is one thing to note. And second thing is deep conversations with the customers and interactions, and the empathy that we talked about, feeling the pain, the child safety was an issue, and then we spoke to some people, right? So all these things you observe, keep those thoughts in mind, and then we'll just proceed and we'll see how we can connect back to the video in subsequent slides. Right? Yeah, thank you. So, it involves product thinking and then product discovery. A lot of things that you saw there is related to thinking, something called product thinking, and then product discovery. Okay, any thoughts around what product thinking could mean? We'll get there. Design thinking is going to complement your product thinking process. Stay at that here at this point. So what could be product?
Solving a problem. Idea generation. Solving a problem.
So we were also doing without product thinking. We solved the problem. We developed products to solve some problems. Right. But that's not product. Huh?
Identifying the real problem.
Idea generation.
Identifying the real problem is discovery.
Idea generation. Various ideas. Gather the
Real
ideas.
problem.
Product.
So even before you go to product, your product is meant to solve certain problem or pain points of your customers. So Anand is talking about identifying what the real need is. Yeah. But you're talking about ideas, right? Again, those ideas should be revolving around what are the pain points it is going to address and for whom. Who's my segment, customer segment, right? And why, possibly, yeah. But product thinking.
Product thinking could be, like here, taking the case of the video, the solution that they were looking for was a shopping cart.
Okay.
And they had a problem statement and they could have actually gone ahead and designed any shopping cart, which they didn't do. They actually, they knew product or shopping cart.
Right.
They,
They're trying to dig into it, find out, define the problem first.
Multiple, ideas
Yeah.
or solutions.
Okay.
Which would or which could be a,
Right.
the ultimate solution.
Right.
So they had alternatives.
So my question is, why did they do it differently? They could have jumped it, like we normally do in the agile world.
They already had an
To make sure the customers would feel satisfied or will actually use the product.
To
To serve a wide range of customers.
Huh?
To serve wide range of customers. Wide range of customers.
Wide range of customers. Okay, at least in the video there was never such discussion, but even in the real world.
Say somebody needs
Okay. Multiple needs are there, or maybe multiple wants are there. You don't know what is the need of the customer versus want, or what is valuable for the customer. Maybe you will try to discover that, right?
So it is about coming to a sustainable solution.
Okay. Okay. That's a good thought. Keep that in mind. And there was someone who spoke about multiple things.
One problem with many solutions.
Okay.
Like if you want to have a goal, do you really need a trip, or you could do that with something else? So now I may be completely misplaced here, but in my opinion, product thinking is something that addresses the ongoing problems.
Okay.
One or other ways.
Yeah.
They could have designed a shopping cart. They could have also designed something like a backpack, which a shopper could kind of just put.
Sure.
Like how the Jeep Cluckers do.
Sure.
That is also kind of a shopping cart in a way.
Yeah.
My idea is, as long as a problem persists, the different ways in which we are trying to solve that problem or address the needs of the customer, I think that is, I don't know.
Yeah. So the $1 million question is, why do you want to do that?
Easy of doing. Easy of doing. Comfort for doing.
Comfort? No. Maybe it will be more difficult.
What about financial partners?
Pivot and resolve.
Right. So
there has to be some sort of feasibility to do.
Feasibility, sustainability, and then some other guys don't want
money as well out of your product.
Money, money again, feasibility comes back.
Preserve or pivot. If you want, you can stop at the immediate to preserve or pivot stage.
Right. Okay. That's good. Now you're all getting closer.
Thinking should be acceptable also. Is it the thought process specific?
Okay. Usability of the customer aspects. Can they use it? Okay.
Thought process.
Thought process for what? That's my question.
It's all about defining the characteristics of the target problem.
Sure. Okay. You know, all of you are talking really good points there. Okay. The only point I want to connect is, I want to convey here is why this change happened in the agile world, especially because product discovery has got a traction in these days, last few years.
They focus on their mission of
Whose mission?
remodelating the shopping cart.
No, they did not focus on that. That was never a mission for them. No. Usability.
Scope like one single product can serve wide variety of.
That was never a requirement for them.
Because if they had served to one particular thing, they would have died in future.
In the current product, customer safety.
Safety, customer safety, yeah. Pain of the customer. That's right. Pain of the customer, usability. Unique may not be. You can have an awesome thing, but if it is not going to be useful, then it's not worth solving the problem. Right. So, the point I want to convey at this point is that there was a fundamental shift in. There was a fundamental shift in the outcomes compared to output. Traditionally, when we started using Agile, we wanted to get the backlog, we had to produce output iteratively, incrementally, and of course with all the interaction, everything was fine. We were producing outputs. But what's the outcome? Outcome for both customers as well as for the organization. Outcome for the customers is actually, is it really solving your pain point? You build something, is it really usable in the first place? And if you use it, will you get the value what you wanted to? Will it really solve your pain point? Right? And let's say customer says yes, but we could have actually put in a lot of money and there is no ROI. So was it worth solving for the organization? Right? The feasibility, technical feasibility, financial feasibility. All these things come into picture. That's why many organizations, which are like, looking for something, can I get a new magic mind to do some great product development? They jumped into Agile only to hear that, our business is still in loss. Because the word product, there was a very narrow view about product. Right? So in the modern world today, in the modern product discovery world, your product is not the actual product that you just built. It is the product plus solution plus your early adopters, your revenue channels, your cost. The whole business itself is a product. That's how many people are looking into it. Right? And of course there is a lot of emphasis on what is the value for the customer. that is where discovery is going too much. And rest of the discovery also supports your sustainability and feasibility technically. Okay. So let's look at two dimensions. Okay, before we get into dimensions, if I were to see, visualize in the picture, right? Now you have an organization which has certain metrics. These metrics could be related to customers unhappy or businesses unhappy, not making good profit. So, and there are a lot of people, right? Customer, internal stakeholders. Suddenly you get some ideas to build a product, right? And you are in the current state now, and you have to move towards the later state. Your ideas can then convert it into a product, feature, enhancements, right? It could be your opportunities, right? You can call this. And then you get into agile way of development here, right? And then you release something after several iterations, after several learnings. And again, some people can still be unhappy, some people can be happy. At least here all the faces are sad. But this particular thing, right, what you produce here, if it is more of output, you're not really sustaining as a business. You're not really making profit. You're not really solving the customer problem. But if it is causing positive impact, both for the customer as well as, so any agile initiative has to measure both of them. The impact for the organization in terms of my profits, revenues, and whatever growth I got, as well as the satisfaction for the customer, has it really met their needs, etc. And then outcome. And the goal of product thinking and product discovery is to maximize outcome and minimize output. That's the shift. Which means there is a lot of work we need to do before we even jump into agile way of development. That means don't fall in love with your solution. Don't even start with your solution. First, understand what exactly is the problem we are trying to solve and for whom. And then also discover, is it even worth solving? I can always solve it, but I can be at loss. That's how many startups started failing. Okay? So, the solution that we are talking about, if you use product thinking approach, it has to be valuable to your customers, usable, and then feasible, technically, financially, business-wise. And there is a sweet spot somewhere here, and this has to be discovered. Yeah.
Are we saying building the thing and building the right thing?
So yeah, so you're correct. Are we building the right things? And is it even worth building that? And to get an answer for that, traditionally, we used to just assume few things that, we know what customers are, we understand our customers. And of course, we will have some interactions during product backlog, etc., etc. But that was a very superficial understanding about, are we building the right thing? Yeah.
So building a thing is output because we have built it.
Correct. Correct.
Building the right thing, which is generating the impact, which is generating the value, could be an outcome.
Exactly. But that outcome should be for both customer as well as organization. There should be ROI. There should be business aspects in it, right? Not just the customer. Of course, the first is customer. If you don't solve their pain points, obviously you're not there. But if you solve and you're not getting ROI, right, then there is no point, right? And it gets even more complex in the scaling in manner. And that's why many people were challenged, many organizations were challenged when they even used Agile and still not getting success. Of course, there are many other reasons why Agile initiatives fail, but this was a major thing, right? That's why this whole movement called product discovery is started. It's still happening. There is a discovery about what product discovery, right? It is happening in the moment. Yeah.
So, in some situations, actually, customer is not there. You are doing the market research and you are coming up with some product.
Right.
So, how you are going to interact with the customer and see what is your pain point and how you are going to develop a product?
So, in such cases also, product discovery, what it says is, first of all, obviously, see, ultimately there has to be a customer. But maybe sometimes may not have reach and things like that. But if you don't do the necessary thing, obviously you're going to fail. But product discovery approach at least tells you that this is not worth solving. If you use the right techniques, then you can drop an idea and someone said you can pivot. Start with the plan B, pivot to plan B. Or maybe you will conclude that this is not worth solving. Let's move on to the next idea.
We have done the same thing, the new product development.
Yes.
The customers give an idea,
Yeah.
$10,000 worth of product.
Yeah.
Actually, we thought customer that at the end of the day say, stop it.
Sure.
We don't want to produce 500 products.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went to the molding, all the things we've done, product development, molding, plastic molding, all the things.
Yeah.
We stopped immediately so that we avoid the loss.
Exactly. So how quickly, and this is even talking about even before you get into the agile development cycles, you could even start. Of course, during agile development there is a discovery. That's why I have a different viewpoint about product discovery. And as I said, product discovery itself is getting discovered. And I have my own opinion on that. I'm going to share that towards the end. But I'm also going to quote this all from Jeff Patton, the very famous person. Those who one who wrote the User Story Map and other books, right? And he's also doing a lot of workshops called Passionate Product Owner, right? Product ownership and product owner immersion, right? Product discovery immersion. Those kind of workshops he is doing. So there's another lady called Teresa Torres who is also doing a lot of research, and she is a product discovery coach. And she has given a very simple view to understand 2 dimensions of product discovery. So product thinking is about thinking about the outcome, and to do that we need to do a lot of discovery, and they go hand in hand. So now we are in the product discovery realm, and deep understanding of the customer's world, deep understanding, not the superficial high level understanding. And I'll tell you how deep understanding comes. And a lot of ideas emerge because of deep understanding, and they get vetted out scientifically. Iteratively you can test them scientifically based on the data. And you can always, if an idea is what, that means you have not solved the full problem, but you solve a small block, keep it ready, another block, and then you can assemble them and then give the product. But if something is not so worth, you can drop it and you can move on to the next idea. So, these are the 2 dimensions. One is to deeply understand, and based on the understanding, do some experiments, build some prototype, rapid prototype, and iteratively test that. Seek the feedback from the real users who are ready to pay. It's not like when you go to a bakery, they'll give you a small piece of thing to taste for free, right? It's not free. There is no free business here. You have to get your early adopters who are ready to pay, and then grow there. And it's called customer acquisition. There is another concept called customer development, customer factory. How do I increase my customers? Customers means people who are actually buying by giving you the money, right? So, the goal of this dimension, the first dimension is, at the end of this exercise in the discovery, you would have developed a shared understanding of the customer's world that is grounded in research. Now, if you relate it to the video, there is a shared understanding. Traditionally, again, this work was done by product managers in some silos. In the product discovery world, in these approaches, right from your usability experts to engineers who are like feasibility experts to valuable, that means customer representative, everyone is there and everyone has a shared understanding of what we are building, for whom, and what problem are we trying to solve. And that is the key. That is crucial. That differentiates one organization from another organization which is using Agile. If you can't achieve shared understanding, gone. There will be a lot of Chinese whisper that happens, and you will ultimately end up building something which no one wants to buy. Right? So that's one goal. The second goal is when you evaluate whether or not an initiative is worth pursuing. An idea is worth pursuing. Should we continue? Should we pivot to plan B, or should we drop this and move on to the next step? And this is continuous. Okay? Product discovery is continuous. And some of the tools, right? I mentioned about some of the tools. Of course, each one requires a lot of explanation. So I'm just going to highlight, share what's happening. So this is something called customer journey map. Have you heard about customer journey map? You just walk through the life cycle of a person who really comes in. I think here it's not visible font. The image is bad quality. I think there's the insurance purchase. I want to purchase a health insurance. So how I typically make choices? What do I examine first? What do I verify next? And what do I verify? How do I make my final decision somewhere? When do I purchase? How does and that tells about what are the existing alternatives for this customer. And if I were to build a new solution, okay, how would I address some of the challenges in the existing market? What are the pain points? And the only way to get this is by speaking to them. Of course, your market research and Gartner research, everything else will help you, but that can't replace speaking to the real customer. product discovery strongly believes in customer interviews. There are structured customer interviews which you can do scientifically. There's a lot of body language observation, there's a lot of observation on what you speak, and you can relate that to the reports in the market, etc. And there are structured way of doing customer interviews. And you can do it in a very informal settings, maybe a birthday party, or a shop launching ceremony, or you can see the sentimental analysis in Facebook and Twitter, etc. And speaking to customers. This is empathy map. So someone talking about design thinking, right? Design thinking kicks in here, right? So what are the customers thinking and feeling about our products, our solution, or what are their pain points, fears, what are some of the reactions, or what are some of the gains for the customers, pain and gain, right? What are they here? So what are they talking about us? What do they say and do? What are they saying in social media about us or about their problem? How do we really understand? How can we be there in their world, like you called out? That's design thinking, right? Empathy. And design thinking fits very well with the product discovery as a discipline. That's why this whole product discovery itself is evolving the way it is going to happen. Okay? And any guesses what this is? Yeah.
So if I have to visualize this in our day-to-day software development,
Yeah.
Who should do this thing?
I'll come to that. So the answer, simple answer is the whole product team. It's called core product team or whole product team, which consists of those three representatives: valuable, feasibility, and usability. Right. So usability means user experience people. Valuable means customer representatives who can actually validate is this indeed valuable, and feasibility means your engineering representatives. So all of them. That's why it's a shared understanding by the whole team, not by one. So this is persona, right? How many of you, when you've written personas in your user story mapping, have written personas like this or captured personas like this much detail? You've done?
Not exactly so much of
Okay.
but yeah.
But the crucial elements are, their choices, their preferences, and their personality types, what motivates them, their goals they want to do, what are the current frustrations. There's some basic statistics like their age group, customer segment information. Everything defines what feature could be useful, what feature could be useless to that segment. And you end up selling wrong features to wrong users if you don't do this. And so user story mapping, and I think here only we have done user story mapping few sessions back. But the whole small persona itself can be an exercise for like half a day or one day, identifying your personas, and then you're getting into user story mapping. Okay. So some of the techniques, and this one all of you should be familiar. What is this? User story mapping, right? Jeff Patton's technique. There is something called event storming. Have you heard about this? This is a technique used again, very useful for discovery. Recently, in one of my last client engagements, there was a beautiful demonstration of event storming. There are commands and there are domain events. So every time there is a trigger for the event, there is a command issued and something happens. And then the customer moves in a certain direction, right? So you can actually find out how exactly customers are going to use our solution to fulfill their goal. And in a simple model, and here this is also a very good tool to get how engineers are thinking about how my product is going to be used. How business guys are thinking about how this is going to be used. Actually, you will see that sometimes either all of you will be in the same page, very rare cases. Many times you will have very different view of how my product is being used. And there was a good demonstration in my last client engagement of this. And the Scrum Master, for the first time, facilitated. She took charge and then she actually did some research on her own, and then we collaborated on facilitation, and it was an awesome outcome. So be aware of some of the techniques. You can always come up with your own, but there are a few facilitation tips I'm going to share towards them. As long as you do that, you'll be good. So, any of you familiar with this? Example mapping? How many of you familiar with BDD? Right? A lot of you, right? So in BDD there are rules and examples. Rules equate to your acceptance criteria. Similar to that. And examples are scenarios. Whenever you write BDD scenarios, if you are not writing an example, you are not going to get any benefit out of BDD discussion. Okay? So that's all. And based on such things, you can actually have an example mapping exercise. This is suggested by the Cucumber guy who came up with the Cucumber framework, and there is very good steps you can do it. So you can divide your team members into two groups. One will have come up with rules, one will come up with examples for others' rules, and vice versa. And you can cross-check and you can arrive at a shared understanding for the team. Okay? And this is something called opportunity canvas, again used by Jeff Patton. Okay? To evaluate an existing product before you. So you use all these things during product discovery process. Sometimes within the workshop, sometimes around your agile ceremony, sometimes before you start your agile initiative, right? So this is a one-page business canvas which is used. I'm not going to get into the details, but you will find this Jeff Patton's. So some guy has used idea and he has come up with product discovery canvas. Okay, and the number says typical order in which you have to do these things, and you will do it as a whole team. Again, product team. Product discovery workshop is always done by the whole team. Typically 4 or 5 small teams working for the same product can do it together. And this workshop, product discovery workshop, will involve real customers. Yeah. Yeah.
Does product discovery complement problem discovery?
There's something called problem discovery, because product discovery, what we are speaking here, is at the overall business, which involves your product, which is related to certain problems and pain points, and it also involves solutions, it involves feasibility, everything. So it is a subset of that. Okay?
The problem is a subset of that.
Yes, that's right. We are redefining what product is in the product discovery flow. So, have you heard about this dual track development? Again by Jeff Patton. And what he argues is that the discovery and delivery. In fact, discovery happens throughout the delivery track. So this brings to a newer notion that, by now you would have got an idea that okay, let's do on discovery and then we'll start the first sprint. No. Once you start your first sprints, discovery continues till you deploy, even beyond you deploy. When you monitor in the operations, you have a lot of continuous monitoring tools nowadays. It will give you a lot of insights. You thought that okay, my product will be used and so and it will be used for this purpose, but is it really happening? The data will tell you from continuous monitoring, and then it might lead to abandoning the next release, or maybe adding more features which are related to this, or changing certain features. Right? Discovery is a continuous. So there is a concept called dual track process, dual track development. Again by Jeff Patton, is coined this. Okay, so now I think in some of the earlier talks that I made, I would have shown this in a DevOps based session. So now, discovery, lean startup, user story map, running lean, okay, that's related to the opportunity canvas, etc. Many more techniques. During development, okay, we use certain things. And again, during operations, we use a lot of DevOps tools, enterprise Kanban, etc. But what I'm trying to call out here is, discovery does not just stop here, right? It also continues. It also continues here. There is a continuous discovery of value, usability and feasibility. Okay? And this discovery and this is more of business focused, this is more of user focused, right? And this is again user focused. So in the beginning is user focused. Here is business focus mainly because there is a lot of feasibility things that come into picture, and business will take a lot of decisions whether we are getting benefits or things like that. And again here, actually they are going to tell you, are they really using your features? How many features are being clicked, etc. Right? How many things are being used? So the point I'm trying to make, so there are techniques again here which can help you discover. Right? So BDD is actually a product discovery, can be a product discovery tool. Example mapping could be a tool. Similarly, your continuous monitoring tools like ELK and other stuff, they can help you in product discovery. Okay? And so because we gave the overall picture, right? So this is something shared by Ash Maurya, okay, who's one of the great entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneur, who's also written a book called Running Lean. Okay, based on Lean Startup from Eric Ries. Have you heard about Lean Startup? And Lean Startup was a book. He got motivated, but he actually ended up applying that to his series of companies that he built. And he has emerged how to apply that in real world. So he's written a book called Running Lean. And he's now, I think, written a book called Scaling Lean or something like that. Okay? So he has given this viewpoint that if you view only your product as a product, there are challenges for your business. Hence, he calls this whole thing as a product. But this segregation is more of product facing and this is market facing. But in addition, apart from this demarcation, this whole thing is your product, right? So again there are orders, it's not shown here. So you'll never start with your solution. You'll start probably with who are our customer segments, early adopters, what are their pain points, what are some existing alternatives, come here, existing alternatives. Okay, how are we going to measure our product success? What is your unique value proposition? What is unfair advantage? Right? If you see here, something that can't be easily copied or bought. Right? How are you positioning yourself? And then how are you going to reach these people? What are the different channels, path to your customers? How are you going to get revenues? What are the different streams? And what is the cost? What is the expenses? Right? And at any point of time, this has to be green. And you will do continuous experiments, weekly experiments sometimes, to actually fill this one-page business cards. And you're viewing the whole business itself as a product. Okay, and I'm more inclined towards this because for me also discovery happens continuously. Unfortunately, in many of the agile teams, we don't tap that insight. First of all, we don't even have feedback loops. Even if you have, you don't capture. Even if you capture, it will not result in any action item. It will not reach the feedback, the business guys. It will not reach the right guys. So discovery is getting lost. But whereas successful companies do that and they keep their cycles so low that they can do it faster. That's why there is a need for DevOps kind of a thing where you can have continuous integration, continuous deployment. Not necessarily customer wants everything, but you can always iterate over your small ideas to get feedback, rapid feedback. Okay? So, we are towards the end. I mean, proper the timing here. Okay, just couple of 1 or 2 minutes. So, we talked about this, right? Valuable, feasible, usable, and your solutions lies somewhere here. And hence, it is so important that in our product discovery process, in our product discovery workshops, events, we need to have all kinds of people, right? People who represent this segment. Successful product balances many concerns, and product owners lead core product teams or whole team. They are called whole product team. And to do this, is not going to happen on its own. We need good facilitators. Whether you're a Scrum Master, an Agile coach, Agile leader, it doesn't matter your role, but you need very high degree of facilitation skills, preparation, etc. etc. So I'm going to end this talk with a couple of tips around that. How do we do that? I've done that in a few engagements and I've had a tremendous learning there about what works, what does not work. Okay, so first of all, let's get that shared documents are not shared understanding. This picture will tell you. You can read this if you are not able to read. I'm glad we all agree then, right? Everyone is thinking about different things. And then they realize that, oh, there are some shapes are different, but maybe background is same. And then there is a lot of realization, aha moments. And finally, when you reach here, I'm glad. But to reach this, you need a shared understanding to happen. And that can happen like this. When we all read the same document or hear the same discuss, we often imagine different things. That's how human beings survive. So it's describing our understanding with words and pictures and then combining and refining ideas that leads to shared understanding. Now if you relate back to that video, imagine the kind of work they were doing, right? All over the wall they were writing, everything was visible, everything was conversation. Only when you do this, yeah?
We do a workshop actually.
Yeah.
Each one of them present their understanding.
Right.
And everyone evaluates on that. So
Right.
try to ensure that each one of us, we have a specific walkthrough session for that. It continuously happens.
Sure.
But to start with initially it would be 2 weeks or so long. So that everyone comes and presents their understanding.
So the key there is that everyone, are we including all the representatives from product, from engineers to this one, right? Only then we can have a shared understanding, right? That's the point they are making. Okay, so finally, tips. So sharing the purpose and setting expectations. Okay, let's say you are supposed to facilitate a product discovery workshop in your organization. The first thing you as a facilitator or a coach, you need to do is, you need to share the purpose. Many people will not even understand about product discovery. They will not even know why they are going. They might think, oh, this is yet another planning meeting. Why am I required? Right? So many things, right? A lot of illusions. So you need to share the purpose, set the expectation personally. This is something that has helped me. I go and talk to different stakeholders for key personally. I take their time, I schedule proper timing and then have a discussion about that. So that not only I can share why this is so important, I will also convey what is their role in it. What kind of data they need to give us to visualize during the workshop, etc. Right? So that has definitely helped me. And then once I have that, I have to do in-depth preparation. Product discovery is a very complex process of getting all the people and then everyone having a shared understanding about, and this is not even release planning, right? Release planning also will have similar complexity. But this is even before what we want to do, we want to find out what exactly we want to do and is it even worth doing. It requires even high degree of involvement. Motivated people should be there. So obviously a lot of prepared data visualized in the posters and the big charts in the room is going to help you, so we have to do that. There is no other escape from that. And also, many times when you try to do these things, the first response you get is, oh, I don't have time. So can you please, I'll send my Scrum Master, can you please work with me, right? You will get all kinds of excuses. So be empathetic about it, first of all. As a facilitator, they do have a lot of work and there's a lot of corporate politics. Next week there could be appraisals. A lot of things could be happening. So you have to be mindful about that and still ensure that you get some amount of data, whatever is possible, and then fight it. So we have to put that empathy in design thinking here as a facilitator about our stakeholders. And creating a space for visualization and transparent conversation. So how are you going to be prepared with your flow? And any games you plan, any instructions, and if there are distributed members, how are you going to engage them? All of that has to be prepared, and that is involved in creating a space. And many good techniques are available. And the last one, which is very important, is you have to be fully present in the scene. Right? In my last client engagements, one of the ladies facilitated event storming, and she did it for the first time. And the kind of confidence in the other thing that is boosted in her, right? The overall confidence on the Agile itself is increased tremendously, and she never believed that she could actually facilitate so many people because of a lot of preparation. And then she started coming and sharing very proudly in the Scrum Master community practice that I did this and this happened. This was an insight. Many people came and thanked me, etc., etc. A lot of top guys actually sent her personal email that this was an awesome thing that has happened in several years, right? So being there, moderating, right? Being every moment and being unbiased during the workshop. You will not be attacked and disturbed by any statements. You can never take anything personal, and you have to be fully present, right? And these are some of the tips. If you could do this, you can actually lead awesome product discovery workshops. Okay? I think that's all I wanted to share. Share this over. That's all. Yes,
I did mischievous things.
I think I don't even still have any. Okay, that was the answer.
It is important.
So any questions, any other doubts about this?
I have one question.
Yes.
So there's one point that you mentioned that having a deep understanding about the customer's world is very important. Right? So in a typical IT world, maybe if it's a startup it could be different, but where we have our customers remotely, right? And we have a development team here and the PO there. Most of the business inputs that we get is only from the PO. Sometimes when we work on the user stories, we just focus on the acceptance criteria but not on the business outcome. Right? Yeah. So what tips do you suggest for such teams, or what questions do we need to ask, or any other special meetings or collaboration that you think should happen for us to have a better customer understanding?
This is a typical challenge for many organizations which are not quite driven, right? Service oriented, etc. Right? So I want to ask the crowd here first. Give you an opportunity. How do you want to take this?
We do not accept a story if the acceptance criteria is not clear. That is in our DevOn definition of ready of this. Okay. So in the meeting, if it is not, if the acceptance criteria is not clear, yeah. So we don't pick the story
As a team, right?
As a team, we don't
Right. So, but again, her point is, again, ultimately a PO will give you, but will never have access to the real customer. That's her question. So, how can you change that?
The organization, one of the transformation and phase and problem.
Yeah.
We were having a contract
Yeah.
IT department of the customer, service company, and the PO was from the IT department.
Okay. So you made someone from IT department.
From customer IT department.
Customer, yeah.
So we were dealing with him for the requirements and to sign off all the user stories or requirements. But eventually what happened when we were about to go for the before the implementation, we identified there was some concerns actually came to us, like we were about to go for the deployment, this workshop has happened. We came to understand some concerns from the other stakeholders of the customer. So that came to us through a different route, through our management layer, 6 layer. So then we tried to understand what it is. So we actually visited the customer place and then tried to understand. The service delivery account manager was also good. Tried to understand this. Actually, what the PO was giving was entirely contradictory to what happening.
That's precisely the reason why we should involve all the different
stakeholders. So we immediately changed the concept. So we designed in such a way that the PO should be a team which is representing from each of the departments what we were dealing with, and then there should be, all of them has to sign off to come.
So that's a crucial point, right? So it's not just about the customers. So having no access to customers is not the only problem. We will not have stakeholders also who are decision making, and they will come and trip later, right? And or we will do all these things and then the engineers will come and trip later, right? This is not feasible itself. So how can we have all of them, at least a representative, and arrive at a shared decision? That's the goal. But I really empathize with you and question that how do we reach it, right? We will not be in the same situation. And to your point, right? So that's something we can do at the team level. We will not accept if it is not met. Definition of ready, right? As the similar definition of done, you can always pull back, and that will put the force back to PO, and PO will again internally put some force back to customers.
The problem we faced was, the problem was for the finance department of the customer.
Correct.
And the CFO of the customer was immediately wanting the product to be coming alive.
Exactly. How do you get them to fight in a room?
The problem was that we actually brought them. It was a messy situation. They were fighting each other. And we had even more challenges even further also to get everybody on same time. One person come at one time, another person comes at different time. We went through the challenges, but eventually we were able to make them to the same page and come for the...
But it's very rare that happens, right? It's very tough.
It's very tough.
So that's why to give you a practical answer, at least I'll share my point and we can again go to people. You have to go one step at a time, right? First thing is, can we get at least one representative? If not, can we get some data from them and can you visualize and can you tell them that, I'm putting your name big, bold and I'm putting this, right? Are you okay in principle even if you can't come, for example, right? And then whatever findings comes, can you share it with them? And can they ensure that they review it and share anything else, even if it happens a week later, for example, right? And all those are, not the ideal way of doing it, but to reach the ideal way, we have to have incremental ways. Now, one other thing sometimes I do, and some of you know here that my metaphor resignation letter is important. If you can have that, if you can operate that in that mode, then people who are not willing to participate, I'm going to give them a news. This is what is going to happen if you are not going to be here. And the news is not going to be easy for them to digest. And how do I get that? I'm going to represent everything based on the data and some projections and the past empirical data. Use the evidence to project, and you may have to collect evidence from the teams on what is the impact, how many features are not being used, how buggy is the product, and how much are we promising, and how are we able to deliver. Use the data. If there is no data, they are not going to be convinced. But in this case, I'm asking you to share not so happy data. And if you show it in the right time, sometimes there is...
Actually, JP, this is not in the case of the product discovery alone.
Yeah.
It is done in the case of any organizational initiative we run in our organization.
Right, yeah.
Stakeholders will not come on back, will not buy in. And we always have this challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is common, and that's why product discovery, I mean, if you give them a new buzzword, sometimes they come in something else, right? But as a coach, I will go to an extent where, first of all, I'm ready to move out of the organization the day I go in, right? I'm mentally ready. I'm not dependent on you, first of all. But second thing, most important thing is you have to make your incremental efforts to get that, and you have to find internal champions. See, there will be some or the other in the organization. That's why it's still waning, right? So there will be some of the other champions who will be in favor of this idea. You have to really make a community of them and then push these ideas. It's strategic. There is no one size fits all. You have to discover, and it's unique for every situation, every organization. But you'll have to find your way. And sometimes it's just that the problem is I can't come there and that tool does not work. If you just replace that with a simple today, I was really happy to figure out that Kahoot, and I'm going to use it everywhere. It's such an easy tool, and it made game possible in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So there are many times it's just a matter of just replacing the tool, and it's convenient for them. So how do you, that's pain point. You have to find out what is the reason why they are not willing to participate. It's not that they don't want their organization to grow. There could be pain points like this. How do you understand that? Requires investment, personal investment, building rapport with them. Okay, so any other questions? We
can have other questions in the open house.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you.